Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello, I'm Eric.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold's.
Schwarzenegger's the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
We are at the halfway point or nearing to it of Hard to Kill. Welcome back, Kevin.
Hard to Kill. Yes, welcome, Eric. Welcome, everyone who's out there listening. Welcome to people listening on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network.
Indeed.
We're delighted to be a part of it. And if you're listening to us there, check us out on our own feed.
Yep.
We got some old school episodes you haven't heard on the podcast network.
Some of them even without me in them, which is shocking.
And then if you're listening to us on our own feed, check out the podcast network because it is
absolutely.
also awesome.
So many good stuff on there. We had, for Rocky IV, we had Ryan on, who's the head of the
He's
podcast
doing the Frank
network.
Stallone podcast.
Yeah, that's right, which is hilarious. And apparently has made him hated by Frank Stallone, which is awesome. But anyway,
that's neither here nor there.
Right. And if you check out the Retro podcast with Katie, we did Stargate with her.
We talked about Stargate with her.
Yeah.
She's been running through all the Swayze and Kurt Russell movies, which is awesome.
Which is great. Good way to go. I love it. But we are here to talk about a Seagal movie.
Yes.
Definitely less than Swayze
100%.
or Kurt Russell. Hard to Kill. Episode 3, Hard to Kill. We're here. And we're doing well. Kevin, do you want to catch us up real quick, or
absolutely? Absolutely.
I love it.
Steven Seagal is playing this character named Mason Storm, which has never been the name of anyone ever in history.
No,
but he's a cop in L.A. He at the very beginning of the movie, he was a witness to a clandestine meetup between the mafia and this mystery bad guy, which he was filming and recording this meeting. They were planning to kill a senator so that the mystery bad guy could take his seat. He's discovered and he's tracked back to his house where he's attacked. He's left for dead. His wife was killed. His son was presumably killed, though we never saw that, by a bunch of crooked cops who I guess are in league with the bad guy.
Yep.
Okay. So he is in a coma for 7 long years. He wakes up out of his coma. What happens? He's got to hold on. I jumped the gun a little bit.
We're on episode 3, everybody.
He's got a friend named O'Malley, who's another cop who is like helping to keep his identity secret because whole world thinks he's dead. Right. So years pass. He wakes up out of this coma. The nurse in charge calls the number that O'Malley left to call if he ever woke up. But O'Malley's not a cop anymore. So she reaches through to the bad cops.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they send someone to the hospital to kill him. He manages to evade their murder attempts despite what we would think was severe atrophy,
which is
all his muscles.
And that whole scene is a Benny Hill / Scooby-Doo extravaganza.
They're riding up elevators, up and down
elevators, giant oversized boxes.
But there's this nurse character named Andy who helps him escape. She dumps him into her 5.0 Mustang convertible and drives off into the LA sunset, much to the dismay of the main goon, Axel. And that's where we're at.
Okay, excellent. That was a great sum up.
Sure.
Everything we needed. It had everything we needed.
Close enough.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's a complicated plot, so it was a challenging thing to get through, but you did a great job of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, a little bit of a gratuitous Pacific Coast Highway action here. If you've never been on it, I highly recommend getting on it.
I don't know why they chose to film it right next to this like huge bank of porta potties,
which was very strange.
Yeah, no, that's beyond me, but it is what it is.
But yes, it is a beautiful coastal highway. I highly recommend anybody, if you're ever on the West Coast, to check it out at any point, honestly. But completely gratuitous. Maybe the best part of the whole movie, actually. It's just that one single
scenery,
shot.
the little bits of scenery.
So Andy is like stroking Mason's chest and in his hair, which is a little bit personal, a little bit intimate.
It feels completely inappropriate.
Yeah, right.
She's being way too familiar.
Yeah, just like right out of the gate with this guy.
Plus, as we remember, he was married. He's been wearing a wedding ring this whole time that he was in the coma.
He doesn't know if his wife is dead or alive.
And as far as he's concerned, like his wife was just killed yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a very weird scene. Anyway, we make a point of the camera stops and the car drives on. And they're on their way to Ojai. Mm-hmm. So why that's relevant, I don't know, other than it's good scenery, I guess. So as they're driving to Ojai, we cut back to now Senator Trent, and he's delivering a speech at a public event.
All the goons were there.
And
strange.
Do these cops not have something else to do with their time?
That's what I've been wondering. Are they like full-time goons now, or are they still like moonlighting goons?
Well, you know how cops will do overtime pay when they're like directing church traffic directing I wonder if this is like a similar thing.
Doing security?
Just doing security work for the senator. I mean, that would be a legitimate reason for them to be doing this, right? Mm-hmm. Like if they're off duty and they want to pick up some extra work, they're allowed to do that. And the senator needs goons. So
every senator needs goons.
I love the idea that there's like a cork board in the police station and it's
goon
like
work.
mystery man goon work.
Yeah, you tear off the whole thing.
Right. And every cop in the LAPD like tears off one of these things.
Yes. Seeking experienced goons.
Anyway. So the Senator Trent says, we're going to put an end to the violence in the state, and you can take that to the bank. Yeah. Which, if you're playing the take that to the bank drinking game, please take a drink.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. The crowd laps it up. They love it. He wraps up, and he's like right out in the open with these corrupt cops. I guess most people don't realize it, but he's chatting with Axel and Kintaro. At which Kintaro, by the way, sounds like a Mortal Kombat boss character.
Yeah.
And the captain from earlier on, who's still around. And he's smearing Storm in the press and working on framing him for the hospital shootout, right? So that's critical. So this corrupt cop who they thought was dead, apparently was in a coma for 7 years, wakes up, and the first thing he does after 7 years in a coma is murder a bunch of people in a hospital.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
That seems like the logical thing to do, right?
Yeah, I never even thought about that. Every doctor would say, yeah, he's not capable of doing any of this.
Absolutely, this is not happening. But no one questions it because Senator Trent has that great one-liner that he says all the time. So
there was this like the character of Axel during this was like he's subtly asserting his dominance over the others.
Right,
he's got like a fresh new bolo tie that was like a snake, like a rattlesnake's head.
I didn't notice that.
Whatever. He got his slick sunglasses and the swagger's just like cranked up to 1,000,000.
I love it. Well, anyway, I mean, like,
did you notice that there was like a "Do the Right Thing" billboard?
Oh, there was,
like prominently behind them, and I'm like,
that's so funny.
It's weird to film your movie that's supposed to be set in 1990. In front of a billboard for a 1989 movie.
Yeah,
like, it's just weird.
Yeah,
you could have pointed the camera in any direction.
Any other direction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this just strikes me as the cinematographer not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is sort of a disaster artist level where all of the people who are working on this movie are just like, it's a paycheck.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So Trent says that they need to start following and like just tracking everybody that Storm knew before. And Axel goes, "We know how to do our job, Senator."
That's so crazy line.
Like, I'm sorry, this isn't actually your job.
Yeah, no, being a goon isn't your job.
Isn't a
though.
job. We have established that maybe it actually is a job.
Maybe it is, but like your full-time job, your day job, or your cops.
You're cops. So anyway.
Don't tell us how to be goons.
We know how to be. We've been doing this since '84.
Sure.
So Trent reiterates that if the tape of the meeting that would happen in '83 ever comes to light, then he's going to be headed to jail for a long time. Like, well, yeah, that's true. So now we cut back to Ojai, and Andy has taken Storm to this amazing ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, just absolutely massive.
I looked the place up. It's like it's this ranch called the Saddleback Ranch.
Okay.
It's like a full-time like event and filming venue that's up in Malibu. That like you can rent for weddings and this and that, or like it's lists itself as a filming location. Like book it for filming shit.
Ooh.
So okay, well yeah, it was a rad like rugged mountains and shit.
And this is a big enough place that to maintain it, you would have to have a full-time staff.
Oh yeah,
like this is a huge
it was
place.
400 acres.
Yeah, exactly.
400 acres in Malibu is insane.
Right. So what is this single nurse doing here? Right, with no staff.
They try to explain it a little bit,
and we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
But even still. The thing that I love about this otherwise Western style ranch is all of the decor is Chinese.
Yeah, that was nuts.
It's just absolutely crazy. So Storm awakens and he's like confused about his surroundings, which, okay, I guess maybe he passed out in the car.
Well,
right?
like maybe he's confused about how did she get my big ass out of the car and into this bed.
Right. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's just, whatever. So he immediately turns on the TV and Geraldo is on. And Geraldo. The way he pronounces Geraldo is
it's like
hilarious.
borderline offensive. It's like when you're trying too hard at the Mexican restaurant.
Right, exactly.
Cerveza?
Oh, cerveza. Oh, that's Spanish.
Like,
though.
just say,
right,
just we all speak.
I will have the chilaquiles, please. Anyway, it's fucking hilarious. But he goes, "Who is this guy?" Which, Geraldo wasn't really a
and
thing.
he had that big, like the big bandage on his nose.
That happened. So I remember that as a kid. Geraldo, like, sort of, he's
in a fight on the show.
He had a fight on the show, and he got his nose broken by one of the guests. And this was a big deal because it was like this was all the news and everything was talking about how awful television had become and how this is the state of TV. Is this really what our children to be watching? But Geraldo getting his nose broken on television made his career.
Okay.
Changed everything for him. It was a big deal. I remember being 9 years old, and this was a big fucking thing. So anyway, he rolls out of bed and he's crawling along the floor, which, okay, I guess that's true.
At least they're making an effort to show he's not at full strength.
Right, full strength, right.
I don't think you could even do what he's doing, though.
No. But, I mean, he has to at least be somewhat weak because he's got a training montage coming up. And if he's at full strength, and I think that was the only way they probably got him to pretend to be weak. It's like, dude, we got to do a training montage. Like, all right, for the training montage.
Sure.
So Andy's somewhere else on the phone, and she's talking with a friend, and she's saying, look, I can't risk going to work or my apartment right now because of the situation. And her friend wants to know what she's hiding, but Andy's like, I can't tell you. It seems obvious to me what she's hiding.
Yeah, right.
Given that she works at the hospital where Mason Storm is now being accused of murdering 2 people. She's disappeared. It seems obvious to me.
I feel like she's doing a better job of keeping this shit a secret than like Sarah Connor in Terminator.
Well, that's true.
When she just instantly was like, okay, here's the hotel we're at, Mom. No, you got to keep that shit. You can't tell anybody anything.
That's true. But it doesn't last too long. It ultimately does come to a crashing end. Although because of her. Well, anyway, I'm jumping ahead. So anyway, Mason opens the sliding door to get some fresh air, and he sees a horse outside. And then a commercial for Senator Trent's campaign comes on the TV, and Trent says, and you can take that to the bank. Everybody drink again. If you haven't figured out that Trent is the mystery man in the beginning of the movie, I don't know how to help you. I think maybe you should find a new hobby other than watching movies. Even
just seeing this one commercial should have been enough for Storm to figure it out.
Right, exactly.
I know that phrase.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, because he says, I remember everything.
Literally,
whatever,
just incompetent. So Andy's still on the phone with her friend, and she says she wants to help Storm, but it's all over the news that he's a crooked cop. At which point Storm emerges, he leans against the doorway, she hangs up the call, and he collapses as she runs over to help him. Presumably, she just picks him up like a feather, and it's not an issue, right?
I was thinking, there's no reason whatsoever that she would not have called the police.
Right.
And said, because he never told her, don't call the police.
Right, exactly.
Or anything like that.
No.
She would just say, I'm with this guy who says he's a cop. People are trying to kill us. There's no way she would not have called the cops.
He didn't say that there were all these corrupt cops trying to kill him.
We can't trust the police. Right. She didn't say that.
At no point did he say that. Right.
No.
We're just left to assume that I guess they had that conversation
Off camera.
off camera.
Sure.
Sure. Why not? There's a lot of this movie that happened off
Oh,
camera.
absolutely. It all makes sense if you could see the stuff that they didn't film.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So later they're watching the news, and there's this like talking head Dunphy who's on the TV saying that the police suspect Storm used his criminal contacts to help them escape the hospital, which he's been in a coma for 7 fucking years.
Yeah,
how many of his
how do you
contacts are still...
orchestrate this?
This is ridiculous. Anyway.
Also, but it's like there's not a single witness
No, none.
to this.
Right. Martha's dead and tortured, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is a deleted scene.
Yes.
Like, Andy's missing. You got the orderly and the security guard who's
They're
dead.
dead. There's the guy who punched out the janitor.
And then the receptionist at the front desk. But that would all point to Axel, right?
Yes.
So, anyway.
This had to be like the least crowded hospital ever, though.
So
there weren't ever anyone around.
So I was reading the hospital was part real and part a set that was built to look like the real hospital. The real hospital that they filmed in had been shut down the week before.
Oh.
And so it was a completely dead hospital.
Yeah.
And they just like whatever was abandoned in there, they used. And so it was just the movie crew in there. So that's why it was so empty.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so Dunphy says that the public had been told Storm had been murdered, a victim of his own greed, which no, he was like a greed. No, he was like a drug abuser, right? Like,
or was he like mixed up with drug dealing or something?
maybe
I don't know.
It's not clear. None of this plan was thought out. So Storm turns off the TV in anger, and he immediately calls the TV station. He says, "I want to talk to Dunphy," and he tells him who he is. Too.
We know Dunphy's literally on TV right now.
Right,
like,
exactly.
He can't talk to you right
like,
now.
I'm sorry, sir. He's literally on TV. Right.
Although I know that Star 69 existed in 1990.
Yeah.
Like they would easily just be able to.
Did.
We got who is Collins? They could track him down pretty easily.
Oh yeah. There's no question about that. They'd have news vans there in a second. Anyway, Storm tells Andy that they can't stay here long because they're killers, and the killers will find them, given enough time. Which is why you shouldn't have fucking called Dunphy in the first place, asshole. Anyway. Annie insists that there's literally no one knows about this place. She's house sitting for a friend.
He's in China for 6 months.
He's in China for 6 months. And I'm like, again, this is a 400-acre ranch. The house alone has to be at least 3,000 square feet.
The place didn't even seem like a home. It seemed like it was like a clinic or a spa or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way this
place...
Like,
he woke up in a hospital bed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's not just someone's house.
No. And the idea that a spot this big would not have an entire full-time staff to maintain it while this rich doctor is out somewhere it's absolutely preposterous. Anyway.
I gotta say, Kelly LeBrock, though, is a remarkably bad actor. Like, she was terrible. I either never saw or don't have any recollection of seeing Weird Science. Like, did you watch Weird Science?
Yeah. The TV show was way better than the movie.
I like the show. I do remember watching the show.
The movie was awful.
Was she the sexy girl? Was she a good actor?
She was just a
like
sexy girl.
The perfect woman, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they made her in a lab or something.
Right. They did. They literally make her in a lab. And she's like the perfect male, like teenage boy fantasy of what a woman should be.
Was she a good actor? Was she shitty?
No, it was terrible. It's a John Hughes movie. Like there's not good acting in a John Hughes movie, right? I think Weird Science.
It was John Hughes. Yeah, it was.
And no, I mean she was terrible, but no one wanted to watch her because of her acting skill in that movie.
Yeah, she was like perfect looking in Weird Science.
Right, exactly. Like like in her early 20s or something. Everything was where it was supposed to be.
We say as a couple of 40-year-old men.
Right. Well, none of my stuff is where it's supposed to be. So I'm not claiming anything. So anyway, later Trent is watching the Dunphy report. And Dunphy's talking about how he was contacted by Storm, who says he's been framed and that he has the evidence to prove it.
Absolutely. I looked this dude up. Jerry Dunphy was played by Jerry Dunphy, who was like a real life LA newscaster.
Oh, really?
And had like a ton of film credits, but he was always playing like the newsman.
Right.
Or like a newsman named Jerry Dunphy.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. I buy that. I buy that.
Sure.
So Trent's entire goon squad is hanging out. They're watching together again. Like, do these people not have jobs?
Well, it's also like a tight knit group of goons.
Right, exactly. It's just like the inner circle of the goons.
It kind of reminded me of the goons in Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Where there was just like, the dude had a dozen goons. Like, it's a lot of goons to keep
so
on
many
staff.
goons. I know. It's just like,
It's
where are you getting your fucking money from? You can afford to like pay these goons full time.
Do you think they're all still also cops, or have they quit their cop jobs?
That's a good question. Maybe they're making more money working for the senator in security.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what if they're actually just security
Probably
guards now?
drawing like a government check, whatever.
Because they don't ever like show that they go to their regular police jobs.
We never see them being cops.
No, we never see them being cops at this point. So actually, okay, we're finally steaming this movie for a little bit.
They could have. I think later on the captain like pulls a badge on somebody, so maybe the captain is still being a cop. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway. We tried to steelman it, and then the movie defeated us.
Yes.
So Trent tells them to start a 24-hour day surveillance on Dunphy and to stake out Andy's apartment and her nurse coworker friend.
Okay.
Again, we've seen Martha presumably.
Martha was like the black chick that was working when she came in.
But she was in one scene, a throwaway character.
Yes.
Who is not relevant to this movie whatsoever, which maybe is addressed in some of the deleted scenes. But anyway, I love this. We go back to Ojai, and Andy is feeding Storm with chopsticks. Like, okay.
Is that all we have in this house? I feel like, yeah.
It was just hysterical how ridiculous this whole premise was. It's silly that this guy whose muscles are atrophied, who can barely hold a spoon, is like being fed with chopsticks.
Feed you with the chopsticks.
Oh my God. So Storm insists that he can feed himself. Of course he can't, but he blames it on the beard.
Yeah, how is it the beard's fault that you dropped all the rice or whatever?
Right, exactly. Here's where we reveal that his facial hair doesn't naturally grow in the form of a goatee. Thank God she kept shaving it into the form of a goatee.
But why?
I don't know,
Why the
man.
fuck would a person do that?
I don't know.
That's like practically abuse.
Right, it is,
Like,
right?
you're making me have this ridiculous fucking facial hair.
Oh, my God. Well, they laugh at it, apparently. They laugh at how silly his absurd facial hair is. And so he grabs a notebook and a marker and then starts writing a shopping list in Chinese.
He's like, this is a list of herbs I need.
Herbs. Oh, my God, the way he pronounces
herbs.
Herbs. Oh, my God. It's amazing. And then he proceeds to talk about how he learned Chinese when he was raised in the Orient.
The Orient.
Oof.
Dude, I feel like there was a lot of like cultural appropriation happening in this movie.
Yeah.
That's fucked up because there's not a single Asian character in the whole movie.
That's not true. We get one goon who is Jeff Amata.
Jeff Amata.
Jeff Amata shows up later.
Fair.
Okay.
That's
all
fair.
right.
Fair point.
We get there.
Touche.
But Jeff hasn't shown up yet, so hold on to that. He said he was in China. He was bullied as a white kid, and as a result, he learned martial arts to defend himself.
Dude, I don't know if you were bullied because you're a racer, because you're a pompous piece of shit, bro.
100%.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. He says that his teacher taught him that he has to learn how to heal people as well as hurt them, because knowing how to hurt people is easy, but knowing how to heal makes you great, which is horrible. I mean, like, what? Anyway,
I don't know, but all this bullshit that he's talking is like really got Andy's panties wet.
Oh no!
Because like she's ready.
Oh yeah,
she's primed.
As the saxophone sexy music starts playing,
dude, that music was nuts. It was like pure porno soundtrack.
Dude, just straight up, this movie, the music is unbelievably bad. So the next day, Andy returns from the ranch with a shopping bag full of stuff and storms on the patio reading. Okay. He's clean shaven now, and his hair pulled back into his fucking ponytail. I swear to God, this guy. So I read that this was the first movie with his ponytail.
Yeah, I guess he had short hair before.
Yeah, this was the premiere of the ponytail.
Oh, that's terrible.
A thing that he unfortunately has kept for the rest of his life. Here's what this is: another drinking game. We're starting a new drinking game now.
Okay.
So Andy, for the rest of the movie, changes her hair and her outfits as often as I change my fucking underwear. right? And
Which
so,
is to say,
just
how
say,
often is that?
yeah, I don't know, once
On
a
a
week.
daily basis.
Yes, every fucking day.
Okay.
And depending on how much I exercise, maybe more than a day.
Okay.
So if you're going to start a new, if you want to start a new drinking game, every time her hair changes or her costume changes, take a drink.
Well, we saw her earlier, and she did not have bangs, and then she's just got bangs all of a sudden.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if she stopped for a haircut or what happened.
And
there.
I swear to God, her hair was shorter in the previous scene too.
Yeah, the little the nurse's ponytail seemed short.
Right, it did seem short. Right, exactly. Anyway, she comes back rocking an epic perm and a new outfit, and so they both are sporting new hairdos.
Okay.
And he gets up with the help of a cane, and Andy's like, "Oh, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot sitting with the cane. Why don't you sit back down?" So he plops back into his chair.
A weird moment. It was just a complete waste of 20 seconds of screen time.
I know.
It was like he struggles to sit up. She's like, that's enough. Why don't you sit down? And then he struggles to sit back down again.
Yeah. So she went by a newspaper archives or the library, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's got copies of all these news articles about his family being massacred. And Storm leafs through them, and he's just like, of course, he's like very depressed.
But did you notice it was first of all, it's like multiple printouts of the same article.
Right.
For one. And then also had the exact same word salad as literally the same copy as was on the other newspaper about Trent becoming senator or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I also noticed that one issue of the LA Tribune, which had like the scene of his dead body lying on top of his wife's body on the front page.
Fuck?
And it's like, no one has that picture because they didn't take your picture before they rushed you to the ER or whatever. It was just like, it was crazy to think the newspaper had that picture.
This is a bit of an aside, but there's an episode of the X-Files where it's a Monster of the Week episode, and a crime scene photographer can actually see people about to die.
Oh.
And that's why he can see, that's why he gets these crime scene photos.
Okay.
So I wonder if this character was actually
could have been
in Hard to Kill. Because the reason he was taking the photos is because he was immortal because he managed to avoid death, and he was trying to find death again. So this is in the same X-Files universe.
Okay.
Hard to Kill is in the X-Files universe. You heard me say it first. Anyway.
Oh boy.
That was a stupid aside.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. So later on, Storm is flipping through a book written in Chinese, and
he's just like pointing at the characters on the page as if he can understand it.
Right. It's just like, you clearly can't read Chinese.
Yes,
I'm not entirely sure he can read English, if you want to know the truth. But he starts to take his shirt off, and he sets up an acupuncture kit in front of him. Cue training montage, motherfucker.
The shittiest training montage you can imagine.
Unbelievable. He is so out of shape for an action star.
I feel like someone at some production meeting definitely said, what if we dropped like a Rocky training montage in the middle of this shit?
Yeah. He he bench presses an empty barbell, which he's completely exhausted by. Which, okay, if that's where you're starting at, all right, that's fine, because those bars, I mean, there's 45 pounds right there. So, okay, I'll give him that, right? But he's got the newspaper clippings printed all over the house.
Like Rocky style. He's taped them up on every surface.
Yep. He struggles with dumbbells. He gives himself acupuncture treatment.
Watching him fumble with those dumbbells, that shit was hilarious.
Dude, my favorite part in this montage is when he's meditating wearing that silly fucking kimono. That was just like, really, dude?
Dude, he should have had so many more scars.
Oh my God, he had one scar on his shoulder.
I'm like,
that was
this dude just got shot in the chest like 5 times with a shotgun.
I know. It's just hilarious how silly this is. Anyway, he grabs a bow staff and he's attacking a tree with it,
just destroying that homeowner's landscaping.
If you're playing the private property drinking game, now it's time to drink again.
Sure,
right? So we cut to one of my favorite parts is he's got a do-rag on, which is hilarious. And he's got one of those like training boards.
Yes.
Right? With the rope, and he's like punching the board. But it's just like, okay, in John Wick 4, I buy Keanu Reeves hitting that training board. Like, that looks real. when Steven Seagal does it, it just looks hilarious.
That shit was like when I used to play Rocky in the backyard, like training in the backyard. There was that level of.
I am an out of shape guy in my 40s, and when I punch things on the rare occasion that I do, my arm jiggles. This guy is supposed to be like in his prime, and every time he punches this board, his arms jiggle because he's so out of shape. It is ridiculous. But while he's training, of course, he visualizes his family. Cut back to more acupuncture. This is my favorite part. He's got a bunch of acupuncture needles in his back, which he has somehow lit. How the fuck did he do that?
I didn't think about that. Yeah, he didn't do that shit himself.
No, there's no way. I mean, maybe Andy did it.
It was kind of like the music was almost offensive. Like,
yeah, dude,
just like Asian,
the synth Asian music
hybrid with like guitars.
God.
Like it was like ding dong ding dong ding.
God.
And like guitar shredding.
Dude.
Yeah, it's awful shit.
Yeah. Anyway, so training montage finally over. Rocky this ain't. But he's back. He's ready to go again.
Yeah.
And so it's some amount of time later, and Storm and Andy are sitting and they're having dinner. Take a drink if you're playing the game because her perm has gotten even bigger now. So Storm at this point, after God knows how long, finally tells her we have to find O'Malley. Like, why isn't this literally the first thing that you tell her?
Yes.
Right? So Storm finds a phone number that it's scribbled down on some medical charts, and it turns out it's for a retirement home in Venice, California. Okay, again, man, like...
How did they have his medical charts?
How did he have his medical charts?
That was not... They were out of that hospital in a hurry, and I don't think she's poked her head back up to grab his charts.
No, and also, like, how lazy is O'Malley that I guess he did call... But he's like, no biggie, but I don't know. Maybe this is a better number to call me by, and so a random nurse like scribbled it down as an afterthought.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's a retirement home in Venice, and so Andy's gonna go and check it out. So we cut to the retirement home, and she's talking to an old woman who is just like.
Got tea and crumpets.
With tea and fucking crumpets. How awesome
I did notice
that?
she was in a wheelchair.
She was in a wheelchair.
I looked back and I checked that out because it's mentioned later. She was in a wheelchair, the old lady.
All right, so that's important because this is a continuity error we thought was later on, but apparently there is no continuity error.
They're on top of shit.
They're on top of it. This movie, fucking on top of it. So the old lady says that there's no O'Malley here. But hey, maybe he's a relative of someone. You know, there's a lot of old people here. You don't know.
Right.
The woman asks Andy to, if O'Malley shows up, like I need a way to contact you. And Andy says, no.
Smart.
I'll call you back. Right. Exactly.
Smart.
I'll call you back to check in. Okay. Well, that actually was logical.
Like, no. You're not. I'm not leaving you a number.
Right. So the old woman's like, I'm gonna take the tea inside, and Andy's like, no. I'll do it for you. You're in a fucking wheelchair, bitch. So she takes the stuff inside, and she sees like an LAPD badge that's in acrylic.
Yeah,
right? It seemed like it would have been
lucite, like
right. It's in lucite or something, like really dramatic. But it's on her old desk, and Andy's like, "You old bitch!" Like I don't know. She has this weird expression on her face, like "You silly lady." I don't know.
Which is also stupid, though,
right?
Because there should have been more to it, like. The badge should have said O'Malley.
Yeah.
Or it should have been like, I went back, I jotted down the badge number, and I went back and showed Storm, and Storm's
anything.
Like, that's O'Malley's badge number.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but for her to just be like, oh, she's got a badge on the desk. Here's our address. Like, I think at this point, Storm ought to have told her, like, a lot of the bad guys are cops.
Right.
Like, there's a bunch of dirty cops involved.
Right, exactly. Anyway, so Andy jots down the phone number for the ranch to the old lady. So we cut back to Storm. He's still getting stronger, lifting heavier weights. He's punching badly the board faster. And then
he's still dressed like a doofus, so he's still got a different do-rag on. Oh my God.
My favorite part is we see him put this like rope board, and if you've seen any martial arts movie, you've seen it's like a 2x4 with like hemp rope written around the top, wrapped around the top, and you punch it. And we see him put it in the ground. And he only puts it in the ground like 6 inches, right? And so it's not impressive when he punches it and it falls over. It's like, well, yeah, dude, you didn't mount it correctly.
Andy was impressed, though.
Ooh, she loved it. Mason Storm.
That's good.
Sexy.
I mean, a girl can only take so much of Seagal's raw sexual charisma.
Oh yeah, that ponytail, forget about it. I'm wet just thinking about it. So at this point we get almost like a Rocky IV moment.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, because he's running up this like really steep road, and this is like the really steep mountain in the landscape, and then he's like sitting like cross-legged style on the top of this little peak, and he like looks around the area, and of course an eagle cries out. Sexy.
How much time do you think has passed now? But since he's come out of the coma, how long would it take you to get back to like
6
strength?
months?
Months,
If
right?
he's like, if that's literally the only thing he's doing, right?
I feel like I don't know how long do you think it's supposed to be in the terms of this movie? Like
3 days. I mean,
okay. I thought it has to be at least weeks,
most
probably.
3 days.
But I feel like it should be months.
Right. Yeah. To
at a minimum, honestly.
minimum. And,
it might take years in real life.
Exactly. Like, but by movie time, 6 months easy.
Okay.
But he does it in 3 days because this is motherfucking Steven Seagal. Don't forget that.
Fair.
Okay. So this is my favorite thing. I love it when he's got the silly short sticks and he's just whipping around like the Star Wars kid.
Yeah.
You remember that meme?
Yeah.
It's like he literally looks like the Star Wars
There's
kid.
no discernible technique.
No,
It's like some shit I could do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm doing it right now as we're recording this. So he tosses the sticks down and he starts chopping the air. And the first thing I thought about, do you remember that Star Trek episode where Kirk is fighting like an alien and he karate chops it in the neck and the alien falls down?
Yeah.
I think the episode title's Arena.
Only from the. I never watched it, but I've seen the clip.
Yeah. It's just like that's what it reminded me of, like karate chop or Austin Powers, I guess, right? Like,
but he's just like slapping air,
right? It's just like this isn't impressive, right? And like the tank top that he's wearing is not a good.
No,
look
he doesn't
for
have
him.
the body for this.
No, he's as mushy as I am.
Yeah, he looks like a regular dad bod.
Right, he's got a straight up dad bod. Exactly right. So Andy sneaks into the dojo wearing a ridiculously sexy dress and a fresh new perm, so everybody take a drink.
Another new hairstyle.
Double drink, actually, because she's got a sexy dress on in the perm. And she says, I don't mean to interrupt, which is, of course, bullshit. You absolutely meant to
That's
interrupt.
the whole reason you came here.
Yeah. But I was passing by, and I thought you'd like a flower. And then she produces a white rose, of all things.
Like porno movies have better preludes to sex than this.
It would have been more believable. It's like, hey, I ordered pizza and I have a little left over.
Yeah.
Do you want some?
Who ordered the extra large sausage?
Porno sax music comes back, everybody, and it swells as she walks over to Mason, and they make out. Storm's got his hands all over her.
Yeah.
He lays her down by the fire next to the training mats. Keep making out.
I feel like
more of those disgusting kissing noises.
Every woman dreams of being fucked on a bamboo mat surrounded by gym equipment.
God, she doesn't take her clothes off, but still, man, he goes in for those titties. Like he goes hard for the titties, man. We know his type at the very least.
Dude, every time they have a scene together, I'm blown away with like how bad the chemistry is.
And they were married at this point.
And then I have to remind myself they were actually married.
Yeah.
And like it's this bad.
Yeah. I mean, apparently she came out of retirement to do this movie.
Maybe it's like she didn't want him sucking on somebody else's titties.
Maybe. Anyway, cut to, they're done. I'm sure it lasted about 3 minutes. And Storm's sitting alone on his mat and his ratty fucking clothes. He's very unhappy. He takes a long look at his wedding ring and he visualizes his wife.
See, that was weird, right?
What is going? There's a plot line that got cut out of this movie.
Do you think he feels guilty about banging Andy?
Yeah, that's what I think. And
it's in his mind. I mean, it's only been a few weeks, a few days, a few months,
however many long. I mean, it's just like it's been 7 years for everybody else, but not for him, like you said. Yeah. So now we cut to he's changed into real clothes and he's heading out of the ranch in a Jeep, which to this point we've never seen before.
Whose Jeep is that?
Is he literally taking the doctor's Jeep? Like,
it has to be. It's not Andy's, I don't think.
Right, exactly.
He's got the tightest jeans in the world.
Dude. Okay, so I got to call this out for a second here. Earlier in the movie, Andy is talking about how glorious his package is. motherfucker, the jeans this guy is wearing are so
It's like
tight.
a camel toe.
You got a fucking camel toe, right? This guy is not packing anything. So I don't know what the fuck Andy was looking at. Or maybe she's just not seen a lot of dongs in her life and she has nothing to compare it against. All I'm saying is that there was nothing left to the imagination with these jeans, and he ain't got nothing going on down there. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
It has to be said.
Jesus Christ.
That's what we're here for.
This was
so
so
we're doing the hard.
The jeans were so tight, man.
The hard hitting analysis.
Do you remember one of those Adam Sandler songs where he's like the douchebag song? It's like I'm the guy who wears the jeans that are too tight to show off my dong. Or so I don't remember the exact lyrics. It just reminded me of that. I'm like, dude, you got nothing. What are you doing? Anyway, belaboring this too much. So the reason he left in the Jeep is because he's going to a cemetery. And he sees that his wife and his son are there, right? So I guess presumably the son is dead, I guess, right?
Right. And Seagal was trying with every fiber of his being to like summon some tears.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't happening.
He was more believable waking up from a coma. Barely. So anyway, so later on, Andy's trying to call Martha, her friend, and no one, she just keeps getting the answering machine, but she's weirdly like upset. Right, she says, "I'm gonna come over." She's
that
kind
was
of
the
upset.
weird shit. She's like, seems like she's in tears.
Right, exactly.
But there's no reason that we've seen for her to be upset about anything.
No, exactly.
It made me think there had to have been something that was cut out.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this, and I think that's the right play. Like after they fuck, like Seagal, Mason is sort of like, I regret this. This was a mistake.
Wrong.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And like he pushes her away and rebukes her, or maybe he's just really bad in bed.
Yeah, maybe the dong was disappointed.
The dong of disappointment is what. So she's like, I'm coming over.
It's not the size, it's how you use it.
And clearly he doesn't know how to use it either. So lose for him. So Andy says she's going to come over to Martha's place. And we cut to her walking up to her apartment
we saw
door.
like that she was right there. It's in Echo Park or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she called from the payphone on the other side
across
of
the way. Yeah.
Which, and this is crazy. This is an aside. It's bonker to me that in 1990s payphones were still a legitimate real thing that people used.
People didn't have cell phones.
Right,
the
right.
average person didn't have a cell phone.
Right, exactly. Like this was real. And it's
when
like
did the average
reminds
person
me-
have a cell phone? Probably not until like 2000 or later.
My first cell phone I had when I was couldn't have been any earlier than 2001.
See, I got one when I was like, I think going off to college.
Yeah, that's
which
when
would
I
have been
got
about
mine.
2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Before that, I had a pager.
Oh, I
Did you
never
ever
had
have
a
a
pager.
pager?
Oh, I never had a pager.
Yeah,
Never
I had a pager.
Oh, career in medicine.
Yes, yes.
You abandoned that one. But no, I didn't have a full-time cell phone until about 2000.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
similar. Yeah,
So
similar.
yeah, 90 people, everybody was
No,
still
hell
using.
no. You had to be uber rich to have a cell phone in 1990.
I remember my father, when his company was doing really well, he had a company car and it had a car phone in it.
Okay.
But it was so expensive to use. Like we used it a single time just to say that we did, and then never used it ever again because it was like $5 for a 30-second call.
Shit.
Yeah. So anyway, she walks up to Martha's apartment, and we see that while she's up there, Quintero and the captain are following her. Or no, they're not following her, but they because they've been watching Martha's apartment, they see her. So they're staking the place out.
Right.
So Axel and Goodhart, though, are in another car, which seems like a redundant effort.
Absolutely, we got double surveillance going here.
Because they really thought Martha was going to be the key.
I was just blown away. Like, Axel's swagger has reached its zenith in this moment. Because this was when he was like sneering at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, had this yet another bolo tie on and these like flashy sunglasses.
Nice.
But I'm confused about the goon like chain of command.
What is
But
the
we talked
hierarchy
about
here?
this.
Yeah, we did.
I feel like the captain is the boss cop.
Right.
But I have my own little headcanon in which Axel is the top ranked goon.
I think so.
So like and when they're gooning, the captain takes his orders from Axel.
Right. I mean, I think that the hierarchy is different. It's possible that Axel like tore the thing off of the hiring goons on the corkboard first. So he was just the first there. And
Right.
so he's
proven himself to be the most proficient goon.
That is true. He has killed 2 unnecessary people at this point, which is more than the captain can say. So, yeah, no, definitely Axel is the goon in charge.
Yes, he's the head goon in charge.
Definitely head goon in charge. Which he's got business cards too. Axel, head goon in charge.
Head goon in charge.
Anyway. So there's like Martha's neighbors are having an argument as Andy shows up at her door, which is like just really weird. And Andy knocks on Martha's door, but no one answers. At which point, a shirtless dude opens up.
With like his jeans halfway unbuttoned?
Yeah, with his jeans halfway unbuttoned, which is so weird.
Yeah.
That was just so strange.
This guy was a character, man.
Yeah, he was. He was in one scene and stole the fucking show. So the shirtless guy, after he opens the door, he says, "Hey, are you looking for the lady who lived here?" And Andy says, "Yes." And this guy is very happy to say that, man, that motherfucker, she got killed. She's dead.
He seemed like he was taking pleasure from it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was happy about this.
She's dead. Like, didn't you watch the news, bitch? Yeah, she's dead. He
was like both excited to be living next to a murder victim and also
just to
Martha
tell people.
Listened to her stories way too loud. He could always hear it through the walls. So he's fucking glad she's dead. So the guy says, "You know something? You look like that bitch whose picture's on TV." The one whose house they found her at. And I was like, oh, fuck. This is a whole plot line that they cut out of the movie.
Line, man. It was cut out.
And
yeah, we were reading,
true.
Apparently they filmed a whole scene where Martha was like tortured and murdered or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and they cut it all out of the movie.
Which honestly, how would that, like, why would they be torturing and killing Martha at all?
At all, right? Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it was an easy cut from the movie, but this line makes no sense as a result of it. So Andy flees, peels out in her car, and all four of the goons. The dude was like,
"Hey, you get back here! Get back!" I was like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna do what you say."
You want me to come back? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, you weren't finished. Let me let you finish. So she peels out in her car, and the four goons, the goon squad, they peel out after her and they follow her away.
There was that crazy moment with like the milkman, the milk delivery.
Oh, that's right.
There was another just crazy ADR like Foley work where this milkman was making a delivery and you hear someone screaming, "You forgot my buttermilk! You forgot my buttermilk!" And it's like, why did they do? Why they recorded that?
So crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, what the fuck was that
just
about?
Complete non sequitur.
Oh my god. Well, part 3 ends with the buttermilk line.
Yes.
We'll cut it there. Once the buttermilk
will
came,
that person ever get their buttermilk?
Well, we don't know.
You have to come back next week.
Spoilers: he doesn't get his buttermilk.
Never. Fuck that guy.
Oh fuck. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been a great one. We'll be back for part 4 next week. Until then,
we'll be back.